So I'm John Capecci. I adapted If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino into this play that is currently in rehearsals in the Rogue Theater here in Tucson. I'm originally from St. Paul, and this weather feels really good to me, actually. Cindy and I were undergraduate students together at Eastern Michigan University in the speech and drama department. I remember distinctly the time we met. It was winter or late fall because we were wearing winter coats. We had met probably at an orientation meeting for the department. And I remember coming into the Communication Theater Arts building, and I saw Cindy. I recognized her from the meeting there. She was wearing her winter coat. I was wearing mine. I am just colorblind enough that I can't distinguish reds, greens, grays, browns very well. And I came up to her and I said, "Hey, we match." And she said, as in very Cindy style, "They're both coats." So we were in that program together for 3 or 4 years, I think.
When you were an undergrad with Cindy, one of your college professors handed you a copy of If on a Winter's Night a Traveler and said, "I think you might like this." What did she know about you that might have compelled her to hand you this book?
Annette Martin often knew things about us that we didn't know ourselves. I think early on in our education of working with literature and translating it to the stage, I got really interested in the narrative voice. I was just really interested in how narrative worked and how the story was told. And so I think maybe that's what she was thinking about, because certainly If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, makes you think a lot about how the story is told, and it's so innovative in its narrative voice. I think that's probably what she was keying into.
What should an audience know about the plot coming into this play, if anything?
Yeah, right. To describe it in terms of here's what the story is about is a little difficult, but I'll try. Because there is a core story. There is a main protagonist whose name is Reader, and Reader is trying to finish a book called If on a Winter's Night a Traveler. And so we do get to follow Reader on this journey of trying to figure out, why can't I find the end of this book? He encounters all these other novels along the way. So that's the big picture, what happens. But within there's so many twists and turns and subplots, and times when Calvino goes off into these wormholes of talking about the nature of meaning and literature and writing. So it goes all over the place. I think the joy of it, what I enjoy about the novel is that you just sort of give over to it and just say, where are they going now? And ultimately, I do think it has a very satisfying ending. I hope audiences sort of sit back and enjoy the ride, which I think you have to do with the novel. And I think that's what we're trying to do with the production too.
What were some of the challenges of adapting this novel?
The primary challenge is working with the narrator, Calvino's narrator for this novel, because it is very unique. He speaks in the second person. He talks to Reader, which feels like you're talking to us, Reader, but then it becomes a Reader, the character. And again, going back to the earlier comment about how I'm really fascinated by narrative voice, this is a narrator that has talk about narrative control. He has control over everything. So much so that we gave him a name, Il Maestro. And I think that was the biggest challenge, is to say, how much control does this person actually have over the proceedings, which is now a play, right? So playing that out during the adaptation process and on my dining room table with little miniature U's and figuring out, oh my gosh, this is how they interact now, and this is what could happen. I think that was the biggest challenge, is trying to figure out really what are the intricacies of Il Maestro, the narrator, and how he interacts with this world and how much he controls it and interacts with the audience too. Reader, the character Reader, I think acts as sort of a surrogate for the audience. So when you're reading the book, you get as into like, what's going to happen? Where do we go next? How are we going to solve this? Just as Reader, the character, does. That is something that happens in the book because it's written in second person. There's always this invitation for you to imagine yourself being spoken to or going through what Reader's going through.
What does this story written in 1979 have to say to us in 2024?
There's a whole sub-theme in the book about computers, creating computer-generated texts, right? That can do them so well that they're better than the actual author's new works. So obviously, with everything going on with AI right now, it really does make you reflect on sort of the extreme of doing away with authors. There also is, reader is one of the places he lands is in a fictional land where all books are banned. So there's a whole section on, it's wry, but also is quite serious about what happens, when countries ban literature and for what reasons. And so obviously that resonates with what's going on here. It's interesting, this whole meta part of the book, the fact that the narrator steps out of the book and talks to us in 79 was pretty innovative. I think what's happened since the 70s, though, I think we've become a lot more used to that because we see it in movies and television, and it's almost second nature for us now to see something where the characters and narrator breaks the frame.
Right.
So in that sense, I think it's, in a way, might feel really familiar.
You've attended many plays at the Rogue over the years. What has surprised you, or what have you learned about the Rogue now that you're in the kitchen with the cooks, so to speak?
It's not that I forgot this, but I have a renewed respect for how much damn work goes into getting one show up, let alone 6 or 7. It's overwhelming for someone just coming into it to be reminded how much you all do to create 2 hours of theater for folks. I think the other thing that I've always seen whenever I've come to the Rogue, what Cindy and Joe have created here is a community. I mean, they're doing what so many other theaters and nonprofits are trying to do, that many of them are at that stage like, hey, we should really reach out into the community, as opposed to the Rogue, which was built by community and is sustained by community, and not just with financial contributions, but board members who show up and do a potluck for the actors. I mean, it's incredible that sense of community. So stepping into that is wonderful and welcoming, also a little daunting, because you all are so in this together.
What's it like to reunite with Cindy all these years later and have her direct your adaptation?
Crazy. Almost every time we see each other, it's just like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. This is so wild to look at each other now at the age we are and to still be able to see us at 20, staying in the speech and theater building late at night, working on a scene or trying to create something out of nothing, and being able to do that now again is just this. I can't express what an incredible opportunity it is. What a gift.
Why is the Rogue the right place for the first production of this play?
Because the Rogue has the tenacity and the courage to take this on. Cindy, 3 years ago, maybe, said casually, if you got the rights, we'll produce it. I mean, there was no questions like, what, can you do it? Can we do it? It's that kind of willingness to jump in and say, yeah, we want to explore this and we can make something really special out of this. Yeah. I think the Rogue is a perfect place for that.